It's the big reveal of our budget, our annual video. Last year we went to 21 countries, crossed the Atlantic 7 times, lived in Greece for 4 months, took a 33-day cruise, and you know what? We're completing our 5th year of full-time travel. Can you believe it?
I can believe it because we have been traveling for the last 5 years. And in this video, we're going to talk about the 5th year of expenses recap versus our budget. And the reason we're talking about it now is because we started traveling in June of 2021, and now it's June of 2026 after 5 years. So we're recapping the last year. And we do track our spending. We track our spending pretty carefully. And I know it's like, do we really need to? When we started doing that, it was because we really didn't know how much we were going to spend and how much it was going to cost to travel full time.
We're really glad you're here. We are Chris and Steve, a retired senior couple who sold our house, our car, and everything in them in Denver, Colorado in 2021, and we've been traveling the world ever since with just our 2 carry-on suitcases. You may know us as EatWalkLearn. We have a weekly newsletter that we publish every week on Substack, so please be sure to subscribe over there. Or come to our Facebook group where we post what we're doing almost every single day. On our website, you can find over 200 locations to inspire you, and you can read about our entire Nomad life in our book series on Amazon.
This is one of our most popular videos because this is where we're going to tell you about all of our expenses in every category.
Yep.
Last week, we talked about just our accommodations spending. This week, we're going to talk about transportation. We're going to talk about food. We're going to talk about health insurance. We're going to talk about our phone plans and
Shopping, bills, everything.
In a lot of ways that you can save money, in a lot of ways, a lot of
tips
that you can reduce your expenses as a full-time traveler.
Yeah, so if you didn't catch our video last week, it's right here. It's all about our accommodations, what we call accommodations, where we stayed, how many beds we slept in, how many different places we slept, and the total number that we spent on our accommodations budget. So this is part 2 in our series of our annual budget. Last week was accommodations, and this week we're doing everything else, like Steve said.
Yeah. And just as a little review too, I showed this last week. I'm going to show you a chart of all of our budget by category. You can see here how housing is our highest category of spending.
Some things as high as $84 per night for cruises. But our average was $64 a night on Airbnb and hotels. We went to higher priced places like Ireland and in the US, but we didn't get to go to any low priced places last year.
We went higher, definitely, but we did some long-term stays, and particularly in Greece. We were there for 4 months on Poros Island in Greece, and that was a great opportunity to slow down. It didn't turn out to be a very slow year in total, but that 4 months felt good, and it felt like home, and it was at a great price.
Yeah, and we also did some house sitting. We're actually at a house sit now. You'll probably see the 2 little dogs running around. We don't have dogs, but we are house sitting dogs. If you want more information about house sitting, please let us know in the comments. We will do a video, or if you're thinking about house sitting, just follow our link below for trusted house sitters, and all the information is there as well. But back to the accommodations, I flubbed. We had a $17,000 budget, and we spent $17,348.
Yeah,
so
I messed that up too.
Yeah, so we were over by 2% on our accommodation budget. Now, coming into our discussion about our whole budget, so we're coming in at 2% over already. But I want to ask you, type right now in the comments, did we go over or under our overall budget? It's surprising what happened.
This isn't a live video. It's not like we can say the responses in real time. But this is a good question here as we get into the other categories. What was our total budget? Was $58,000 per year.
Yeah.
Chris just showed you that our accommodations budget, we came in over budget. And
I just want to comment that we used to live in Denver, and in Denver we had the big house and the car and all the things. And we should go back one day and go back through our credit card receipts and see what our actual number was. But we easily spent $10,000 a year, or a month, $10,000 a month on just living in Denver. And so $10,000 would be $120,000 a year.
Yeah.
And we're living this incredibly rich, highly interactive, great for the brain. We're not getting old. I mean, we look like we're getting old, but our brain is staying young, and on half the price. So, and
Yeah.
traveling the world on half the price. So if you
It's
think you
really
can't do
amazing.
full-time travel because you think it's too expensive, our lifestyle is completely affordable, completely attainable. Our books talk about it. All our videos talk about it. We've been at this for 5 years and we have the data to prove it. So let's jump into transportation.
Transportation. This is actually my favorite topic because it is the one that's the hardest, I think, to control. You know, you're always going to have housing expenses, even if you just stay still and you never move. You're
Right.
always going to have expenses for food. You're always going to have expenses for insurance. The transportation is the one that I think is the key to control and to be able to manage. We got some tips for you on that one.
Yeah. So we had some surprises with our, every year in May, we not only budget for the future, for the coming year, but we also do some visioning about what we think is going to happen in the coming year. We had some things happen this year that were not visioned when the time that we were doing all that visioning. So one is we went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth across the Atlantic. Two of the times were in our typical general how we go around the world. Two of the times were because my mother decided to turn 85 and I had to go to her happy birthday party. Now, I did not count that in the budget. That was my own personal money, and that was not something that affected Steve and me, so that was not included. But we did go back and forth in order to help our daughter move from Ireland to the U.S. and back, and that was a mess. Anyway, but we did count that in the budget. So lots of back and forth across the U.S. or across the Atlantic that included flights and cruises.
Yeah. Well, the first time was going to Houston because we applied for our Greek 1-year visa, and we had to go to the consulate in Houston. That's our local, based on what our address is, and that was definitely a trip that, you know, we would have gone to the U.S. anyways, but the fact that we flew instead of taking a repositioning cruise, which is what we usually do, we only did one repositioning cruise. The whole year, from across the Atlantic.
But then we did back this, yeah.
We did another one.
We did another one. Anyway, we'll get to the numbers in just a second. But regarding the Greek visa, up here is our video about our 1-year visa. We are still in the process on our golden visa. It is getting close to being done. We will do a video about that when it's finished. So some of our other transportation, we did a lot of ferry rides, especially when we were in Greece. We rented a couple of cars. We did a road trip to Corfu. We did a road trip to
through Romania,
Kalamata. We did a road trip in Romania. So and I think when we were back in Maine or something, we also rented a car then.
Yeah.
So we did several car rentals, probably more car rentals this year than we've ever done, ever. Most of our air travel last year was just back and forth across the Atlantic. We had a couple hops within Europe, in and out of Athens and so in a couple places. But our total air travel budget was $5,384, which is a really big number for us because we don't fly a lot.
Yeah, that's how much we spent, and that was definitely a big one for the year. We usually do not spend that much on air travel.
Yeah. And then when it comes to car rentals, we also normally don't rent cars very much. So this past year, we rented a lot of cars for a total of $2,439 just on car rentals.
Yeah, and cruises is another one. So for us, when we take cruises, they're one-way cruises, and we call it, the bus sometimes because it gets us from point A to point B. So I don't include the whole price of the cruise in transportation. If you saw our last week's video on accommodations, this is how it breaks down. Now I take the total price of the cruise and I break it down towards accommodations, towards transportation, towards food, and towards entertainment. So we spent a total of $2,277 on cruising, and that was the amount
was the transportation section
that was allocated to our transportation budget.
Yeah, that's not what we paid for cruises. That's just the transportation allocation from the cruises.
Exactly.
And then also buses, trains, random alternative transportations of different types. We spent $2,000 on buses and trains and various.
Yeah. And there were some other things in there. There was, some another category that was kind of catch-all, and we talked about, spending money on, Ubers and things like that. But a total that we spent for our transportation category was $13,871.
That's a lot of moving.
How does that compare to what our budget was for transportation?
Our budget was $11,000, so we were over by $2,871 or by 24%. And I really think that 24% is wrapped up in the unexpected, going to get the visa, taking care of our daughter, moving back and forth. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah,
We're glad to spend it.
that's real. And
Yeah.
we spent that money, and that was, again, with way over on a lot of categories within the transportation category, planes and cars and things like that. But, one of the things that we hear a lot from full-time travelers and from travelers is that they always fly business class.
A lot of people do use their points in order to fly business class, but even points is a currency too. And so
Right.
we just prefer to save our currency and you get the most value for it. And again, we don't do a lot of these red eyes and overnights. When we do that, when we're in those situations, we cruise. So anyway, also we do, when we're in the US, we fortunately get to fly on Southwest where we have a whole bunch of bucket of points and we have a companion pass. If you want the secret to how to get a bucket of points for Southwest and a companion pass, watch this video up here. But when we're in the US, the only cost we have when flying is the taxes, which is about $5 or $6 per leg. Also, you wanted to talk a little bit about how to get the lowest price on a flight, especially in Europe.
Yeah, so we do it in a little bit different ways. Chris likes to look at Google Flights. I like to look at a website called Skyscanner, and it's super easy to go into Skyscanner and say where you're flying from. And instead of where you're flying to, I put in the word everywhere. And if you put in the word everywhere, it's going to give you country by country, what are the lowest flights and what are the best flights. So in this example, I'm flying from New York and I'm going to everywhere. It just so happens that the three places in Europe that come up as the lowest price, there's Athens, there's I think Paris, there's I think London. Greece is actually the place I want to go to. So it's great. So I clicked on that one, and sure enough, I found this amazing deal on how to get from New York to Athens nonstop for $263. That's a great price.
Let's do it.
And I don't care how many points you have or what kind of status you have on to get business class. If you can fly nonstop from New York to Athens for $263, grab it.
But I think the point, the way we use this is not necessarily to find flights to someplace cheap. When we're trying to get from A to B, we'll use everywhere as a way to see what kind of routings there are to get from A to B, because if you just go to Delta and A to B is $500 and you go do this everywhere thing, you might find that if you go to, Kentucky first and then to London, you will save yourself $300. So it's a way to book your own flights and book your own layovers and a way to take advantage of single segment pricing to make the total price cheaper than the original price. So it's a strategy. Use this at both Google, you can say anywhere, and at Skyscanner you say everywhere, I think. In both cases, it will show you all the places that you can fly to from that airport and what the prices are, and then you can cobble together itineraries that are cheaper than what the retail price is at an airline. Now, when you actually book the flights, always book at the airline. Don't go through these conglomerates. Expedia, Google Flights is also a conglomerator. Don't go through Expedia, don't go through Travelocity, don't go through Kayak, don't go through Cheapo Air. Book directly at the airline. It may take you a little while to find the actual segments. You might have to do that a little manually, but book at the airline, because when things screw up, which they often do when you fly, if you book directly with the airline, you will get much better customer service than if you have gone to a third-party vendor that then has to manage what your repair is. So always choose the airline.
All right.
Okay,
So
moving on to
transportation.
food.
We went way over budget.
Yeah.
We gave you those numbers already. Let's talk about the next biggest category, which is about a third of our total budget, and that is food. You got to eat, right? You got to eat.
Girls got to eat.
So we typically are going to eat vegetarian when we go out, and we'll and practice vegan eating when we're cooking at home.
Yep.
That's just our style. And we have found, even when we're talking about just cooking, vegetables,
rice and beans,
that inflation has really taken a bite out of our budget, and maybe
literally a bite out of our food budget. You're so clever.
No pun intended. I guess I was a pun intended. Yeah.
Well, and then also inflation. Back to the inflation. We were most of the time we were on either dollars or euros this year, and the dollar against the euro is just awful. So we caught the currency inflation exchange problem too. Inflation too. All right. So living on Greece, we were living on an island.
Yeah, we're living on an island. You would think that grocery prices would be outrageous, but you actually think we're pretty affordable. And
Yeah.
it's really surprising how we had a great supply of, of groceries and
And
the farmers market.
And I mean, we always tell you to eat local, and fortunately, locally in Greece is feta cheese and olive oil and tomatoes, so which is a big part of
No
our diet.
problem.
So I know feta cheese is not vegan, but when you're in Greece, you eat feta cheese. So we certainly took advantage of going to the farmers markets and getting big buckets of virgin olive oil, for $7. So that was nice.
That's super fresh, and we know it's fresh because we went to the farm and we
saw them
saw them
press it. Yeah.
So-
So we break out our spending into eating out and actual groceries. So eating out, we spent $10,013 eating out, which is like one meal in the U.S. And then $3,468 on actual groceries. So our total budget on the eating out was $12,000, and our budget on groceries was $2,900. So eating out, we were under by 17%, but on groceries, we were over by 20%. It's better to be over on groceries than over on eating out because you get more bang for your buck.
And I think that's, there's a couple of things. One is because we had the time that we were in Greece and we were sitting still for a while, and we got into a routine of cooking. And I also think that, the restaurants just felt like, they were so expensive. The price of food was so high everywhere that we went that it was like, if we can look for alternatives to eating in a restaurant,
we do.
We wound up coming under budget on eating out.
Right. So our total budget for food was, we spent $13,481 on a budget of $14,900. So we were under on our food budget by $1,419 or 10%. I'm really surprised about that because food has gotten so expensive worldwide, and to come under, we really did a good job estimating that.
Yeah.
All right, what's the next category?
So we're going to talk about health and wellness, and
then we're going to talk about insurance. Woohoo!
Yeah, a big portion of this is our health insurance. And just kind of a little aside, we travel around the world for the last 5 years. We have found excellent health care everywhere that we've gone, and really highly qualified facilities and doctors and equipment, and that's where we have gotten all of our medical care. But I, for one, I'm on Medicare this year. I had a little surprise in that I've got an Advantage plan, and my premium actually went down.
So Steve is on Medicare. I, on the other hand, I used to be on ACA on Obamacare, but when the big beautiful bill passed and my premium went up 250%, I decided to not go on ACA for this year. But we did have a surprise on our taxes. We can go into details, but the bottom line is because we didn't configure our numbers correctly, we got nailed on our taxes for the health premium benefit or whatever, and had to pay an extra $2,576 on our taxes because we screwed up on our ACA benefit stuff. We don't want to go into details. Right. The bottom line is we had a tax bill of $2,576, which we decided to put that number into our insurance budget for this year because the taxes actually were generated because of our insurance miscalculation.
Yes.
In the meantime, I then picked up a different policy because I'm not on ACA. I picked up a policy with Mondial. Big thumbs up for Mondial. Have filed claims. They have paid them 100%, no problems. Mondial has a Schengen policy and a rolled policy. It cost me about $130 or so for the Schengen policy and about $250 for the rolled policy, which includes the U.S. So make sure you check on Mondial. Love them. The link is down below, and you'll see the Mondial expense and the ACA expense in our insurance budget. All right, so now what was our actual expenses? So our actual expense was $6,325, a budget of $5,600. So we were over by $725 or 13% of our budget.
That's our whole. That's the whole medical category,
which includes
health
insurance
and wellness category.
Oh.
Insurance is the biggest piece of that, but that's our whole health and wellness category.
So a couple of
all of our dentist appointments, everything that we did in medical.
And a couple of massages.
Massages is included in health and wellness. Absolutely.
Yeah. So the question still is, are we over or under budget?
Yeah. So we
Take
were
a guess
over
down
on,
below.
we were over on housing. We were over on transportation. And we're over on health and wellness. We were under on food.
Yeah.
I don't know if that offset the other categories.
Yeah.
But
Well,
maybe.
two of the top 3 biggest ones we were over, and we're under so far. Okay, so
Yeah.
next up is bills and utilities. So this is a conglomeration of lots of things. And by the way, when on our Visa bills, Visa or Chase automatically categorizes expenses, groceries, whatever. And we basically use Chase's categories. We modify a couple of them on a couple of things, but basically we just, whatever Chase says the category is, we pull that in at. So within bills and utilities, we have our mail service, which we use Escapees out of Texas. We've used them for 5 years. They have been fabulous. They cost us $22 a month, more or less. We've got that varies by how much we scan or whatever. They're fabulous. They manage our domicile for us. If you have any questions about Escapees, put them down below. And all y'all who think Escapees doesn't work, we're not going to agree with you.
We've been using it for 5 years.
No problems. In this category is also our phone plans. Steve uses Tello with a combination of data plans and eSIMs. I use FlexiRoam with a combination, or Google Voice with a combination of eSIMs and eSIMs, that's all I use. So you use Tello. Don't you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I use Tello, and I think it is a great deal. For $5 a month, I get my phone and text service no matter where I am in the world. It's only cost me $5, and it's a real US carrier. And sometimes I use their data plans as well, but I highly recommend Tello. And then for data,
yeah, so by the way, thanks to Chris Golick at Suitcase and a Smile for recommending Tello to us. We do have a referral link for Tello, and it's down below. And do you get your 2FA, your two-factor authentication?
Two-factor authentication is no problem, again, because this is a real US carrier, just like any other carrier. Chris uses Google Voice.
Yeah, I use Google Voice. I use it. It's free, and I use usually FlexiRoam for my data. Sometimes I use Sally. Sometimes I use Airlo. Usually I use FlexiRoam because every couple times a year they have a 70 to 80% off on global data. So I can get a 360-day plan for 50 gig of data for about $80, something usually right around there. So I usually just grab a couple of those because they can stack on each other and not expire. Well, they expire eventually, but I use them before they expire. So love them. Some people don't like Google Voice. Some people have some problems with 2FA. I have not had any problems with 2FA. I'm just telling you, no problems with 2FA. I don't know why other people have them. I do not. Anyway, also when we cruise, we use a SIM card, an eSIM from GigSky. We'll put a link down below as well. GigSky is the only provider that works on cruise ships, and it's about half the price of cruise ship internet. So again, grab your GigSky before you get on a cruise, and you can use it there too. We have it linked down below.
Yeah, I love the GigSky find because we've saved hundreds of dollars, I think, of not having to buy the cruise ship Wi-Fi package.
Yep.
And it worked great. And we were on a cruise ship for 33 days in the last 12 months, and was flawless.
But a big tip about GigSky: start it before you leave land, because you can't start it when you're at sea. So make sure you have that started. We have a little surprise with that.
But their customer service is great too, because I did have a little technical difficulties when I first started with it. It was my first time. It worked flawlessly after that. But they were able to just point me right in the right direction and get everything fixed up.
To be persistent.
No problem.
Yeah. We did get a big surprise on our Greek visa. It cost us $930 of various expenses between the visa and the travel and so on and so forth that we put in this budget, in this particular budget for $930
in this category of bills.
Okay, so the total category for bills and utilities was $2,118 that we spent, $2,118. Our budget was $1,500. We were over by $618 or 41%. And I'm going to attribute that mostly to the Greek visa cost because we didn't know that those were going to come across.
This is not something that we had anticipated or quantified. And it was real, and we wanted to include it in our actual expenses. And this is now, what, 5 categories in a row that we've been over?
I think we're still going to come in there. I have faith we're going to come in under.
Yeah. It's because our next category is
shopping.
Shopping. Yeah. And we don't spend any money.
we don't buy much at all. Suitcases would go in there. I actually got a free suitcase this year. I filed a warranty claim against Osprey on my transporter, which I love. They filled it 100%, no questions asked. So again, Osprey transporter, link below. We're big. We do spend most of our shopping is on shoes. So both of us, we used to be big Hoka wearers. Now we are Ultra wearers. I will put a link down below for
Hoka.
Well, we have 2 pairs of shoes, but we used to be only Hoka. Now we do Ultra and Hoka. We both wear Ultra closed-toed trail runners, and then we both wear the Hoka Hopara for our water shoes, our things that need to get wet type shoes.
Yeah,
sandals.
I mean, for me, it's the Olympus 6 Ultra, which I just love it. It's got the wide toe box, but it also has the great cushioning like Hoka's, but it also has a nice wear to it.
Yeah.
I've had the same pair almost for a year, and that's just unthinkable. I mean, previously, again, we've been doing this for the last 5 years. I only own 2 pairs of shoes, and I've been going through, shoes every 6 months
At least.
At least. And these Ultras have really worn so well that I'm looking at buying another pair of shoes.
The reason why we moved to Ultra from Hoka is we were really tired of replacing the soles. The soles on Hoka just wore out too quickly. Now on the Hoka Hopara, which is the sandal version of a shoe that we both wear, it's like a athletic water shoe. We'll put links down below and show you some pictures. They don't have the extras. It's like the whole thing is a sole, so it's not like there's a layer that rots or whatever, like on a trail runner. So the whole sole does wear nicely, and we love those shoes. So anyway, take a look. We got reviews down below. So we spent an actual $3,356 on our shopping, and our budget was $3,800. So woohoo! Came in under budget by $444 or 12%. I think the reason why we stay in budget, especially for clothing, is we are big fans of Goodwill. We will stop in Goodwill to pick up, the occasional jacket or pair of pants or a shirt or something that we need for a one-off occasion, and then turn it back in.
Well, I think we do also have some articles of clothing that are really high quality, that are not cheap, that are very expensive, but they last and they work well for us. And since we only have a limited amount of space in our suitcase, everything that we buy, we got to take something out.
Right.
So it really makes us be, very particular, I think, about the things that we wear and things that we have in our suitcase.
Yeah, and we, especially about our pants and our shorts, I'm a big fan of Patagonia. All my shorts are Patagonia. My pants, the pants that I love that I left in Jersey in the drawer. You can watch that video on my solo trip in Jersey. Half my clothes were Patagonia that I left in England, which we replace. We annually, when we stop in Maine, we go to the Patagonia outlet up in Freeport, Maine, and load up there. So even though Patagonia is still expensive, at least it's discounted when we're at the outlet. So, and that will come into our budget.
And I just got a brand new pair of pants from
Lululemon. I never ever thought I would hear me say Lululemon and Steve in the same sentence, but he found a great pair of pants that he loves.
I look forward to doing a review on these pants because so far as, daily wear, travel pants, comfort, style, the fit, anything.
And wash and wear.
Yeah, and lightweight. Great
Anyway.
water wicking material. Anyways.
All right, next chapter.
We are on our last
category, entertainment. Now, if you've been following, I love that the dogs are hanging out behind us. Is that Chico or Charlie? Chico. If you've been following us for 5 years, we are always so embarrassed when we get to the entertainment category because we're not good at spending money on entertainment. A lot of the things we like to do are free. We like to hike, we like to go to outdoor concerts, we like to go on walking tours. All these are free or super cheap.
Yeah.
And we find it really hard to spend money. We find the days that museums are free, we go to all these free events. So to actually spend money on entertainment, we have had goals every year to spend our entertainment budget. So did we do that this year?
Yeah.
So in our entertainment budget, or entertainment, we had dance classes in Greece, language classes. We started a writing group and had writing classes. We actually put our bicycles that we purchased when we were in Greece in this category because they were entertainment. They weren't really
transportation.
Definitely, just go out in the afternoon for a little ride.
Yeah.
Again, part of our cruise budget, remember we allocate our cruise into 4 different categories. There's a 10% category on our cruise budget for entertainment. And any excursions we might do on a cruise, we don't generally do excursions from cruises. And we do excursion ourselves, but we don't do them through the cruise line. But we often will get off the boat, hire somebody for cash, and go on an excursion.
Yeah.
So we did buy some snorkels, which we put in. Did we put that in our entertainment budget, or
I think that might have gone in the shopping budget.
in the shopping
but they
budget?
weren't that expensive.
Anyway, snorkeling. You know, and when you have your own gear, of course, you don't have to pay or rent for it.
Right.
It did make sense for us to pick up some snorkeling gear at Decathlon in Europe and use that when we did our 33 days of cruising and our week in Hawaii. So managed to squeeze that into the luggage. I don't know what came out, but the snorkel gear went in.
Yeah.
We also hiked on the Fisherman's Way. We did a road trip through Transylvania. We did a river cruise. We were in the Christmas markets and maybe bought an ornament or 2 as gifts. We did an olive tour and bought some olive oil.
Well, I think the point is that we had some amazing experiences. And again, we compare this to our shopping category. This is where we're spending money. This is where we're spending money on having fun, on having adventures, on doing interesting things, and not necessarily on buying stuff.
So we actually spent $3,937 on experiences and entertainment. We had a $4,000 budget. We came in under 2%. So to high five, we spent our entertainment budget this year. We probably even could have rounded that up and with a couple ice creams or something.
We've come way short of our budget in the past, and this time we hit right on our budget for the year, and had some great times and great experiences. And I'm glad that we. I'm glad that we spent that money. That's money that's well spent, and that's really what our travel is all about, is having great experiences.
Yeah. So in our budget this year, we did. So just kind of conclude, we had some surprises. Those family obligations of our daughter moving back and forth, and then getting our visa applications. Those were kind of surprises. Inflation is god awful all around the world. It's definitely hitting us. The dollar valuation, the dollar is so weak against the euro. It's like 118 or 119 or something right now against the euro. And then transportation, of course, is transportation catches all those things, and transportation is higher as well. Exactly. So how did we manage the changes? We stayed longer in locations. We cooked more indoors. We strategically picked our locations. We did the Google everywhere searching types things. We really tried to focus on shoulder seasons this year, and we did use credit card points a lot instead of cash or money in order to pay for things. And most of those credit card points showed up in our accommodation budget. Again, watch that video from last week.
Right.
So, drum roll, the big reveal on our budget. All right, so did we or did we not hit our budget?
I think we went under.
I don't think so. I think you did the budget. You haven't told me what the numbers is, but based on
I haven't told
this is
you
the
yet.
really
When
this shows up on the screen, this will be the first time I see it. I think we're over by 6,000. That's what I think.
6,000.
So that would be 10%.
Yeah, no, we're under. So our budget is $58,000 a year. That was our budget for the last 12 months for everything combined. We came over.
But only by this
we
much.
spent $60,435. We were $2,435 over budget for the year for all of our categories. And that's with saving. I think we saved $40,000 on accommodations. You can challenge that, but watch our last video if you haven't seen that one. But amazing that even with all the family obligations, the unexpected expenses with regards to our visa, things like inflation, we came in only 4%. So
$2,435 over budget, and that basically was our tax bill.
That was our unanticipated tax bill.
For screwing up on our numbers. I'm calling it even. I mean, because we hadn't screwed up on our numbers on our tax bill, we would have been even.
Yeah, but it's real. It's real.
So our lessons learned, slow travel saves money. Don't stress over your budget. I mean, travel smart and take advantage of some of these strategies. Number 3, a budget is just an educated guess. I mean, whether we hit our budget or don't hit our budget is not going to decide whether or not we have to go back to work or not. We will not. Family matters. If you need to spend the money, spend the money. I mean, I told you that the money that I spent to go see my mom for her birthday, that was not in this budget, but it was a big chunk of money. Buying round trip tickets to Europe with a 3-day notice was very expensive, but it was worth it. And also, we continue to make changes. We will continue to make changes as we think about our travel goals. And next year, we're going to raise our budget, aren't we? Are we going to talk about that?
We are. So we're in the process now. We're having this discussion about, how can we spend more money? I know that's kind of funny. It's like we're just talking about how we save money.
Yeah. I mean, there's this whole die with zero philosophy out there, as you die with no money. We're not doing well at that philosophy. So we are really going to make a concerted effort to try to spend more money next year. What are we going to do?
And we might do a video on how we actually create our budget and how we do our visioning and how we actually lay it out by category, because we do our budget, as we've seen, by category.
So if you want us to do a video on how do we put together our budget, just make one line comment, budget, 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 budget. And if you want to put your email in there, we'll put you on our newsletter list, and you'll be able to see that as well. But write budget and your email, or just budget. If you don't want to give us your email, that's fine. Or give us a thumbs up, like lots of thumbs ups. If we see lots of thumbs ups, we'll know that you want to see a budget video.
Yeah.
Sound good? All right.
All right.
Good job, honey.
Thanks.
We'll see you next week. What are we talking about next week? I don't know, but come back next Sunday and we will share more about our nomad life and full-time travel. See you then.